Seems like everyone is talking about Jada Pinkett Smith these days, and despite not being the one who slapped Chris Rock at this year's Academy Awards, she is at the center of a heated debate about the moment. It seems to reveal a much larger group of people who vehemently dislike Jada Pinkett Smith. So today we'll discuss the celebrities who hate Jada Pinkett Smith. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, before we get into this video, I genuinely struggled with finding 10 or so celebrities who are outspoken about their hate for Jada. I'm sure there are tons of celebs who disagree with her parenting style or anything goes attitude. To publicly declare you don't like another celebrity is a whole other deal. So basically, if some of these are a stretch, don't come for me. Or do, whatever. Kris Jenner. Believe it or not, the Kardashian clan used to be super close to the Smith family, particularly because Kris's kids got along super well with Jada and Will's kids. In fact, Kendall and Jaden are still super close, but we never see the adults hanging out anymore. It's very likely that their friendship didn't survive the whole famous Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, Jordan Woods love triangle in 2019. After Jordan was exposed for making out with Khloe's ex Tristan, Jada decided to have Jordan on her talk show, Red Table Talk, to reveal her side of the story. The interview featured a ton of sympathy for Jordan as she said her piece about what went down. Jada and Will have known Jordan since she was born because her father worked on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Apparently, after the allegations came to light, Jordan came to Jada asking for help. Quote, "I just wanted her to have a platform to tell her story. That's it. She's a young, beautiful woman inside and out, and me having been a young girl, we sometimes get into situations that we don't necessarily know how to handle." It's likely that all this sympathy towards Jordan led the Kardashian matriarch to cut ties with Jada, as they were never seen getting close after the incident. Promptly after the interview, the Jenners and the Kardashians all unfollowed Jada and Will on Instagram and vice versa. That being said, they still let their kids hang out as Jaden was spotted at Kendall's infamous controversial 2020 birthday bash. Next up is Olivia Jade. While there's no overt animosity between Jada and Olivia Jade, there was definitely some very public discussion of having her on the Red Table Talk show. After the college admissions scandal that put Olivia Jade's mother, Lori Loughlin, in jail for attempting to cheat her daughter's way into college, Olivia Jade attempted to go onto Red Table Talk to set records straight. She went onto the talk show in 2020, and Jada's co-host, her own mother, was extremely public about her distaste for Olivia's appearance. Jada's mom stated, quote, "I fought it tooth and nail. I just found it really ironic that she chose 3 black women to reach out to for her redemption story. I feel like here we are, a white woman coming to a black woman for support when we don't get the same from them. It's bothersome to me on so many levels. Her being here is the epitome of white privilege to me." And honestly, it's hard not to see her point. The whole time Olivia Jade was on the show, she just kept talking about, "Oh, poor me. I didn't realize how privileged I am, blah blah blah." And Jada's mom let her have it. She told Olivia straight to her face, quote, "There is so much violent dehumanization that the black community has to go through on a daily basis, right? There's so much devastation, particularly this year, 2020, and everything being brought to the table. There is so much inequality and inequity that when you come to the table with something like this, it's like, child, please. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with everything we have to deal with as a community, and I just don't have the energy to put into the fact that you lost your endorsements and you're not in school right now." Whoa, I can't even imagine that going over super well on the friendship mark, especially considering this public blasting was broadcasted all over. Next up is Tom Segura. While this may be more towards Will Smith, Tom Segura has held absolutely nothing back when torching the Smith family online for the Oscars slap incident. Obviously, a lot of celebrities are ticked off at Will Smith right now, but Tom definitely brought his distaste for Jada into this rant. In a series of tweets, he said, quote, "Let me tell you this, man. The idea that you're entitled thinks because your feelings are hurt, you get to one of the all-time greats because you feel, and then the cowards, the spineless cowards that are in Hollywood and comedy. We have all the lists of the guys. It's insane. It's like a gross exaggeration. You see it all the time. I mean, you see entitlement everywhere, and that was on full display for the world to see. I have zero respect for that, and I feel like more people need to come out and say it. It's unacceptable." Damn. Tom, tell us how you really feel. That being said, it's unclear if the in question is Will or Jada. It could be either or both in this situation. Either way, I doubt Tom will be invited to any Smith family dinners in the near future. Next up is August Alsina. While I think maybe this one is a bit of a stretch because it's hard to hate someone who's actively keeping you relevant, I do think that August Alsina can't be happy with how his name has been dragged through the mud with this weird open marriage thing that he was involved with. He claimed to have dedicated years of his life to Jada after they had initially been introduced when Jaden brought him home as a friend. Although the two had their affair while Jada and Will were separated, it didn't stop the actor from writing an entire album called Entanglements about her. It has also just been announced that he's going to write a memoir about his time with Jada, which I am like 99% sure is to A, keep him relevant, and B, to drag Will and Jada's name through the ringer. Next up is Sheree Zampino. Sheree Zampino is the ex-wife of Will Smith, who he had one son with named Trey. Although this feud is largely over, Jada openly admitted to really disliking her husband's ex-wife, and the feeling was very mutual. When they began their relationship, Jada and Sheree hated each other. They had a lot of issues with their blended family, which basically meant them all co-parenting the kids that they all had with Will. Zampino recalls a moment when she had to speak to Will about their son Trey, but Jada picked up the phone. Quote, "You picked up the phone and I wasn't really respectful. You basically let me know, I don't really appreciate your tone, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you hung up on me. I called back and I happened to say, bitch, you're living in the house that I picked out." The two then shared a laugh with one another, so I guess this one doesn't really count because they've definitely made amends with one another. Despite having an extremely rocky relationship to begin with, they seem to get over it for the sake of Will Smith and their kids. Okay, this next one is just for laughs, but Will Smith. I mean, God, they must have had an extremely hard time within their marriage because Jada, for better or for worse, constantly lays it out on the table. She airs her dirty laundry with Will genuinely constantly, and a lot of fans think that the Men in Black actor is so stricken with Jada that he won't see just how inappropriate her behavior is. For example, always on her talk show, Jada insinuated that Will doesn't know how to please her in bed when she was discussing intimacy with Gwyneth Paltrow. Also openly admitted to cheating on Will, and she had an extremely intimate relationship with Tupac Shakur despite her claiming never to have dated him. I can't imagine all that going over super well, especially when we, as the ever-watchful public, know all of these things. I think it would be a much easier pill to swallow if the entire internet weren't calling Will a but here we are. And now that the Oscars slap thing happened because Will was defending Jada's hair loss, it really does feel like a house that's so full of pretension and privilege that I think people have just kind of largely given up on the couple.
First up, we got Chris Rock. Unless you are living under a rock, you know that Will Smith showed a completely different side of himself to the world at last night's Oscars. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some digs at all the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm very sure he regrets it right now. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head. Because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore has shaved her head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and she was likely forced to wear her hair this way because she's not able to grow hair completely. Immediately after this joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the live broadcast, and slap Chris Rock right in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will walked back to his seat, then yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. After this slap, Chris Rock looked completely stunned, having no idea what to do or say. It looked like he was about to clap back and say another harsh joke about Will or his family, but Rock took the high road and decided to stay calm. The internet was set ablaze by this slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering what we've seen in the aftermath, it was 100% real. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. Many fans of Smith have tried to defend his actions, but the overall consensus is that it's never okay to put hands on someone or work out issues with violence, which I completely agree with. Also, we have no idea if Chris Rock even knew that Jada Pinkett Smith had alopecia. It could have just been a big misunderstanding. Next up, William Hendricks. After Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage, another one of his attacks was resurfaced. Because this was not the first time that Will lost his temper, and his nice guy persona was called into question. In 1989, Smith spent a night in jail after he hurt a man named William Hendricks so badly that Hendricks almost lost his his sight. Smith even spent a night in jail because of this incident and has a mugshot because of it. We're not sure exactly why it happened, but Hendricks was a producer who we can assume worked with Smith. Even more coincidental, this incident happened days after Will won his first Grammy. I guess he likes to get into altercations around awards season. The charges were later dropped against Will. Will Smith was 20 years old at the time, and after getting in a verbal argument with his producer, he decided to make things physical. As per the police report, Smith asked his bodyguard, Charles Alston, to quote attack William Hendricks, who needed 6 stitches after he fractured his left eye orbit during the altercation. Next up, August Alsina. After the smack heard around the world, old reports that Jada had cheated on Will in the past resurfaced. The pair have spoken about how they are in an open marriage, so we're not sure if it was really cheating or not, but Jada admitted she was in an entanglement with rapper August Alsina during a break with her husband. When Will and Jada talked about it on Red Table Talk, Will looked visibly distressed, and the general consensus is that Will wants a monogamous relationship, but Jada wants to be open and see other people. In 2020, August exposed the secret that he'd had a long-time affair with Jada while she was married to Smith. Initially, the Smiths denied this, but later admitted that it started when the pair split up briefly. Alsina had been introduced to Jada by her son Jaden at a London music festival in 2015. Insiders stated that August became like a member of their family, even going on vacations with them and staying in their mansion. August is 21 years younger than Jada, and he claimed that Smith actually gave his blessing to have an affair with his wife, an allegation that Jada then denied. Will also reported that he had affairs with other women during this time. At one point, he was rumored to have slept with co-star Margot Robbie. Many believe Will's insane reaction to the joke is proof that he is in a toxic relationship with his wife, because he completely embarrassed himself on most likely the biggest night of his life, all because of a bad joke. Many also claim that Will would have rather smacked August, but instead Chris Rock got the brunt of his anger. Vitaly Seduk. Little known fact is that this is not the first time that Will Smith has smacked a man in public at an award show event. Vitaly Seduk interviewed Will on a red carpet almost a decade ago, and after they had a negative interaction, Will smacked him in the face as well. While being interviewed, the pair hugged when Seduk went to kiss Will on the cheek. Will Smith freaked out, then backhanded him on the face. Although many felt this move was justified at the time, it shows that Smith's first reaction in a negative situation is violence. The incident took place at the Moscow opening of Men in Black 3 in May of 2012 while Seduk was working for a Ukrainian television station. After the incident with Chris Rock, Seduk stated, quote, "I just immediately recollected the slapping incident in Moscow. I think the joke was inappropriate when it comes to someone's health, but Will's reaction is unnecessary and sends the wrong message to comedians being hit for a joke." Adding, quote, "I don't want to call Will Smith uncontrollable. He has a violent temper, yes, but I'm sure he realizes what he's doing." The reporter acknowledged that it was a bad joke, and he understands that Will was protecting his family. However, it shows that violence is always Will's first instinct. Scientology. After the Chris Rock incident, some started connecting the dots between the bizarre slap and Scientology. This is because the Smiths have been tied to Scientology in the past, and physical punishment is a popular teaching in the church. Apparently, it's a common teaching in Scientology to use slaps and other forms of physical force to show other Scientologists that they've done something wrong. After the slap, one user tweeted, quote, "There's a Scientology course, I guess you'd call it, that involves slapping/physically humiliating fellow Scientologists in a group setting as a means of exerting superiority. It's remarkably common within the cult." The user even shared that Tom Cruise is known to use similar styles of punishment, but instead of hitting, he uses shouting to intimidate movie crews. This makes a ton of sense after what we saw happen on the set of one of Cruise's movies when he felt that COVID protocols were not taken seriously by his staff. Leaked audio heard him screaming at the top of his lungs at his staff, clearly sending a strong message. The Smiths have spent many years battling off accusations that they are involved in Scientology. The couple was apparently introduced to the church in 2004 by Tom Cruise, and they got so involved that the Smith family spent almost $1 million in 2008 to set up a school for the church. The Smiths said they designed the curriculum for the school, but insiders claimed it was based on Scientology. Both Jaden and Willow attended, but the school closed 6 years later when most of the parents removed their children. Tony Ortega, an expert on Scientology, said that the Smiths left Scientology in 2015 and that Will at least only ever dabbled in it. And finally, Will Smith himself. Will exposed himself in his 2021 memoir where he revealed his struggles with anger in the past and how he had thought about taking someone's life in the past. In this memoir, he revealed dark secrets from his past, like that his father used to hit his mother, and when he was younger he was ashamed that he never stepped in to stop him. Apparently many years later his father had cancer and was declining rapidly. He was in a wheelchair at the time and was not able to care for himself, so Will thought about taking his father's life to avenge all the horrible things that he did to his mother. Thankfully, Will did not go through with it and took the high road with his father. Will seemed to reference this in his Oscar speech where he said that a higher power called on him, quote, "to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people." In at number 10, Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer was one of the co-hosts of the show along with Regina Hall and Wanda Sykes. They were all busy when the slap occurred, but they were told about it by their teams afterward. When Amy Schumer came back to the stage after the slap, she made a joke of the situation, saying, quote, "Did I miss anything? There's like a different vibe in here." She shared her thoughts later on Instagram, writing in the caption, quote, "I think we can all agree that the best way to unpack what happened is to stream my series, Life and Beth Hulu, and see me on tour this fall. I love my friend Chris Rock and I believe he handled it like a pro. Stayed up there and gave an Oscar to his friend Questlove, and the whole thing was just so disturbing. So much pain in Will Smith. Anyway, I'm still in shock and stunned and sad. I'm proud of myself and my co-hosts, but yeah, waiting for the sickening feeling to go away from what we all witnessed." In at number 9, Bill Maher. Late night host Bill Maher defended his friend Chris Rock and saluted him for keeping his composure, telling TMZ, quote, "I think Chris Rock did a lot of good. I thought he reacted as well as you could in that situation. It was not a good look for Will. I could make a case that we've all been under a lot of pressure and there's a lot of emotion running through him. It was just out of line and it reinforced the idea that jokes are the enemy. It's sort of like cancel culture encapsulated." Maher added that Rock is a hero for how he handled the situation, adding, quote, "We are looking at someone to pull it together with dignity and get the train back on tracks. He did it and I think you should get a lot of credit for it." And at number 8, Ethan Klein. One YouTuber that made their thoughts incredibly clear was Ethan Klein, who posted a string of tweets denouncing Will's actions. He tweeted, quote, "Will Smith is just a walking L since his wife decided to start weekly humiliating him on her Facebook show. Probably should deal with whatever trauma he has with her instead of punching Chris Rock in the face for an extremely tame joke. He needs to be escorted out of the Oscars. L." Adding in another tweet, quote, "Will Smith won and got a standing ovation? I'm in awe. The show went on like nothing happened. Will Smith punched a comedian for doing his job. He's a celebrity in the front row of the Oscars where it's normal to be roasted. Bad taste or not, defending Will equals brain rot." Many pointed out that Will only did what he did because Chris made fun of his wife's alopecia, but Klein did not back down and said that's no reason to slap someone in the face. And at number 7, Howard Stern. Howard Stern did not hold back on his Monday morning radio show, completely blasting Will Smith for his actions. Stern said, quote, "What you saw on TV was a guy with real issues. That's crazy. That's crazy when you can't contain yourself." His co-host Robin Quivers called the smack a, quote, "blindsided attack," noting that Rock had no idea the hit was coming. Both Stern and Quivers blasted the Academy for not immediately ejecting Smith from the event, with Stern adding, quote, "You don't provide security? You don't have someone come up there? Chris Rock was just trying to make people laugh at the ceremony, which was so long and boring." Comic Nikki Glaser called into the show to agree, with her adding that she is afraid of what might happen to other comedians when they make a risky joke at a comedy club. All three blasted the inaction from other celebrities in the room and the Academy for doing nothing. And at number 6, Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin tweeted almost immediately after the slap to condemn Will Smith's actions. She also acknowledged how this action could affect comedy as a whole and make being a comedian more dangerous than it already is. She tweeted, quote, "Let me tell you something, it's a very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically assault a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters." Halfway at number 5, Judd Apatow. After the shocking altercation, some celebrities took to Twitter to share how much they disagreed with Will Smith's actions. Director Judd Apatow was probably the most vocal, who said in a series of tweets, quote, "Seems like Will Smith's plan to get comedians in the world to not make jokes about him is not going to pan out. The Williams family must be furious, pure narcissism. Also, G.I. Jane was gorgeous. What exactly is insulting about being compared to a ripped, stunning Demi?" He then replied to a tweet that mentioned that Will did what he did because Rock was insulting her alopecia. Apatow then doubled down, writing, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out-of-control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last 3 decades. They're not freshmen in the world of Hollywood and comedy. He lost his mind." Apatow has since deleted these tweets, but we can assume that he meant every word. And at number 4, Zoe Kravitz. After the award show, Zoe Kravitz took to Instagram to slam Will Smith. She posted 2 photos back to back, one showing her Grammys look and another showing her look for the Vanity Fair after party. The captions on the photos read, quote, "Here's a picture of my dress at the show where we are apparently assaulting people on stage now." The other said, quote, "Here's a picture of my dress at the party after the award show where we are apparently screaming profanities and assaulting people on stage now." Shockingly, Zoe actually got a lot of backlash for condemning Will Smith. Many people said she should have just stayed out of it and kept quiet. Many also pointed out that she had been friends with the Smith family in the past, and she was even uncomfortably close with Jaden Smith while he was still a teen. And at number 3, Jim Carrey. Comedian Jim Carrey is another person who has been incredibly vocal about his disgust for Smith's actions. He also slammed the Oscars and Hollywood in general for condoning such a terrible action. During an interview with CBS's Gayle King, Carrey said, quote, "I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. Hollywood is just spineless and mass, and it really felt like it was a clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore. Carey told King that Smith should have been escorted out and arrested. Carey also said that if he were Chris Rock, he would have sued Will Smith. Adding, quote, "I'd have announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous." Carey also slammed how this could affect comedians in the future, continuing, quote, "That insult is going to last a very long time. If you want to yell from the audience and show disapproval or something like that on Twitter, that's fine. You do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack someone in the face because they said words." And at number 2, Wanda Sykes. Following her gig co-hosting the Oscars, Wanda Sykes went on The Ellen Show to share her feelings on the award show. Sykes was very open about her disapproval of Will Smith and the Academy for not doing more to protect the presenters. Sykes said, quote, "It was sickening. I felt physically ill and I'm still a little traumatized by it." Sykes told Ellen during the interview that Smith should have been removed from the building immediately after he slapped Rock. Adding, quote, "For them to let him stay in that room and enjoy the rest of the show and accept his award, I was like, how gross is this? This is just the wrong message. You assault somebody, you get escorted out of the building, and that's it." After lots of pushback, the Academy revealed that after the slap, they did ask Will Smith to leave, but he refused. Wanda added that she was hoping that when he won, she would be able to go out and say that he had left the building. But obviously that did not happen, and he got a standing ovation when he won for King Richard. And finally, at number 1, the Oscars. After the slap, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences tweeted that they do not condone the violence that took place at the Oscars. But since they let Will Smith stay in the audience and still gave him the award, that didn't seem to be true to those watching. The Oscars then submitted another statement on Wednesday, days after the show, to reveal that they actually asked him to leave after the altercation, but he refused. The statement said, quote, "Things unfolded in a way we could not have anticipated. While we would like to clarify that Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused, we also recognize we could have handled the situation differently." After this, we got to hear Chris Rock speak for the first time since the incident during one of his comedy shows in Boston. He asked the crowd, quote, "How was your weekend?" clearly acknowledging the elephant in the room. He then added, quote, "I'm still kind of processing what happened." However, he didn't comment on it further and promised that he would discuss it in greater depth later.